Hey there, YouTube. It's time I'm gonna get a little bit serious on working on this project. It's 75 Chevy Nova. Um, it's been kind of lingering in the background for a while. I've done some things on it. There's some past videos, like most recently I did a posi rear in this car. It came out of the junkyard and kind of did a little light refurb and got installed and real happy with it. But I really want to get this car finished. This is going to be a clone of a car that I had in the 1980s when my wife and I were dating, and this is actually a car I'm building for my wife. I told her before that she needed to have her own classic car, and she told me the only thing that she would want would be a 75 Nova like what I had back in the 80s. So I found this for her. Actually, I found it locally a few years ago, and I've done some things. Again, there is some videos that are up on this car, what I've been doing to it, but it is going to be, I'm going to show you some pictures of what my Nova looked like back in the 80s. So that's basically what I'm going to do, is somewhat of a clone of what I had back then, but she's choosing what she wants. So she's made some changes. She does not want, like my car had the LN Nova interior. It had red velour seats that were bucket seats and a console. She wants black vinyl bench seat with column shift, which I've already converted the car. It was not that way when I got it. Insisted she wanted the exact same wheels, which were the American Racing Outlaw 2 with the BFGs on it. So I managed to find those for her about, I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. I've had this car for so long, I can't remember what I've done sometimes or when it was. But one of the things I want to do with this car to kind of get this project going is I want to follow the same pattern of another YouTube channel that I like to follow. The channel is Half Rods. I'm going to have a link in the bottom of I'm going to have a link in the comments. Go check his channel out, and if you're not a subscriber to his channel, please do so. Help him out. He's got some great projects. If you're like me and you're into the Chevrolets, especially 55 Chevys, you'll like his channel. But what he has done to get his projects moving is he's created a deadline, and then he has worked to get there. And so that's what I'm going to do. My deadline is going to be the first weekend of May. Reason I want to do that is I want to paint this car. And the paint that I have and the reducer I have, that'll be perfect time for temperature-wise to do that spray. So I would like to get that done so that way she can cruise in this car this summer. So I have roughly 10 weeks to get this done. I think that's very reasonable, but I do have a pretty long list of things I want to do on it. So I'll go down through some of the things that I'm going to be doing on this car, or at least what's on the project list with this car. Obviously, I'm going to have to prep this car for paint, so I've got some rust repairs to do. There's some rot down on the bottom of the fenders, typical. Same way with the doors. It needs door hinge pins. You can see there is some scrape marks up there on the top, which is typical for this generation Nova. They start to hang. I could probably get it to go up and down a little bit. There you can see. So I need to put pins in. That's no big deal. I do have other door panels for this car. I don't know if you can see them way over there. I got them out of a junkyard car. Paid $5 a door panel. Awesome deal. I'm going to re-dye those. Not sure yet. I may end up moving the custom trim, because this car actually is a Nova Custom. So I'll probably try to fit that onto those panels over there. The chrome always peels off of these things. So I am actually going to dye right over top of where that strip is, and then get some nice vinyl tape, and I'll let her choose if she wants chrome or some other color for an accent. I do have different armrests. I have matching sets. This is actually from probably a four-door, and this was probably the back ones. So she doesn't need ashtrays, but I got a good set that just need to be cleaned and dyed. The seat is the correct seat. It's a bench seat, but it is in pretty sad shape. And what the problem is, whoops, the horn works, is this. So I'm going to have to pull some of this material off, get in there, and it's probably a nut or something that's in there, and it'll probably just have to be welded back into place. So I'll end up fixing that. Now, I've already done floor pans in this car, but the back floor pan needs to be done. In fact, you can probably see the holes in the floor there. But I got this out of a four-door Pontiac Ventura. I think it was about a 77. I hacked that out of the junkyard. I think I just used a hammer and a chisel to get it out, so it's pretty rough. And it was a little damaged, but it has no rot holes in it, so I'll be able to straighten that out. So I think that's actually the first project I'm going to end up doing on the car. Other things, it needs headliner, so I got new headliner material. I'm going to do sound deadening in the car as well. I've probably got to do some sort of budget repair on the dash pad, probably just fill and re-dye it. I've got new or good replacement vents that'll go in there for AC. I got to replace one of the gauges, the temp gauge. You can see it's kind of stuck, so that's going to be replaced. I've got the original Alpine cassette deck that I used to have in my Nova back in the day, so that's going to be installed in here, as well as some traditional, probably, I don't know, some sort of 6x9s, but I do have old Jensen covers, so those will be reused, so it gives it that vintage 80s look. You can see in the back all that cardboard. That's because someone had cut a giant hole in this at one time, and I have the entire rear steel deck to replace it. And the way I'm going to get in there and weld that piece in is the back glass is going to come out. And there's a good reason why I'm taking this back glass out, because someone etched a giant bow tie sign in there and made this the absolute redneck edition. So this is going to go. By the way, if you would like this back windshield, it's free. Just reach out to me and tell me you want it and come and get it, because I don't want it. It's going to be gone. So that's going to be coming out of here real soon. Other things I have to do, I still have to do some more repair on this deck lid. The one that was on here was completely rotted out. This came off of that same Pontiac. Actually, I guess it wasn't a Ventura. It was a Phoenix. And again, so just so you know, the four-door trunk lid is exactly the same as the two-door. So if you need a trunk lid, four doors will work. But this one here had some junkyard damage. This was pushed in. I did pull some of it out, but it's still just a little tight. So I'm going to have a little bit of work to do on that. Speaking of metal work, rear quarter, got lots of plastic in it. It's all, yeah, so that's going to have to be fixed. Unless I get lucky and I find someone's got a replacement quarter, I may end up swapping one in, but otherwise I will just do my own metal work on that. The other side also has a little bit of rot. It's not too bad. Just down the bottom, so I can handle that. Probably a little bit up in the outer wheelhouse there, so not a problem. Yes, the lower, all the typical Nova kind of stuff, so can fix all of those things. This lower fender actually is not bad. And of course, that's one I have a good replacement laying up on the shelf, and I won't need it, but either way. All right. Under the hood, we really don't need anything. I've already gone through this engine. In fact, there's some video of that. Put a camshaft in this, new seals, etc. The only thing I don't like is it does have a Quadrajet, which I have no problem with Quadrajet, but it's sitting on a spacer for this manifold, which sits it up, which, because it sat it up so high in the hood, I had to put this really small filter on it. I'm not real happy with it, so I may end up changing that out in the future. So another thing I need to do on this is I want to replace this front windshield. This has a number of stone chips that are on the windshield, so it needs to be swapped out. Down here, you can see all covered up. I had the replacement windshield. I also had the replacement back glass. So I've already gotten those out of the junkyard. I have video of those. So I have a habit of trying to write down things that I need to do, so that way I don't forget. So on the 75 Nova site, yes, I have too many project cars and things going on here, and that's why I got to keep it all organized and written down. But this is stickers for the center caps, no big deal. That rear floor plan, like I say, I'm going to probably do that first. The glass front and rear, sound mat, stereo install, bench seat needs repaired. That's the door armrest. Of course, the rust repair. Oh, I do have the pan leaks a little bit. Same way with the oil pan, the drain plug leaks, so fix those. Headliner, the package deck, the bushings. Oh yeah, heater switch. I have a whole other unit to replace because this one here has busted off knobs. Rear deck repair. Oh, that's the trunk lid. The emergency brake cable. There's a support that I got a replacement for because the one is on there I had to hand make. None of the dash lights work. Got to figure that out. Carpet, and I have seat belts that'll have to be dyed to match the interior. So that's a pretty long list outside of the fact that it needs to be then all the bodywork primed and painted. So got a lot of stuff to do here in my 10-week period, but I think it is possible. And again, I'm going to hold myself to it. So that way, by having a deadline and trying to do some regular updates, hopefully I'll get to where I want to be. So my video content's going to be a little different than normal. A lot of times I will break down my videos into a series of different types of operations, where on this, it's just going to be as soon as I do something and I've got it filmed, I'm simply going to upload it, and that's going to be the series. So it's just going to be a part 1, part 2, etc. At this point, I got the back seats pulled out. I also have the backs of the front bench seat removed. This will make it a lot easier for one person to get it out. So I've got the 4 bolts to undo, and then I can slide this out of the way, and then I should have nice clear access to that floor pan. All right, so I got the seats out of the way, so now I have full access to this pan, but I'm going to have to raise the lift and take a look under there because the fuel lines run right near that rear floor pan. So I got to make sure I know exactly where that's at before I do any cutting, because I don't want to blow up. One of the other things, I'm glad I actually pulled the bench seat out of here, because I see things I didn't finish, like that little piece there I threw in. There's another little hole, plenty of holes there, same way on the other side. And that's because one of the previous owners, when this car originally came out of West Virginia, they had bucket seats in it, and they just hacked it. I mean, literally, they just drilled through the floor. They cut part of the floor support to put bolts in it. It must have been like god-awful long bolts, who knows. But that was all ripped out of there when I bought the car, and there was a bench seat basically sitting inside the car. So that's the one I've used. But I've got to fix those holes then as well. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the car up in the air so I can get underneath of it and see where those fuel lines are. So I'll take you there next. So taking a look underneath, here's this rod that I had on the list that needs to be replaced. This is something that I just bent myself, so I actually have the correct one to go in here, so I'll be able to put that in, although that one seems like it works just fine. But anyhow, so back here, back of the pan here, you can see that's where the fuel lines are. Now it looks to me I might unbolt that and unbolt it up here and try to just pull down out of the way, and I'll just lay some metal over it or something just to keep me from hopefully hitting it. But if I recall, in the junkyard, I cut it just right about where that seam was. And I remember why, because I only had a hammer and chisel, so I couldn't drill out spot welds and get the whole thing out. But it looks like it's pretty solid. I should be able to cut along that line to replace that. Hopefully I only have to come part way up. Yeah, I think I can make that work. Hopefully it'll be good enough. Yeah, it's pretty soft in there. So I'm probably going to have to come up a little ways. I do have enough of this. I was smart enough. I took it up over the tunnel. So I could take it up quite high if I really wanted to. There's that back line. And see, that should be the outline of that piece that's overhanging. So I should be okay. So I think that's what I'll end up doing. All right, so I'm going to unbolt those fuel lines and hopefully gain myself a little bit of space. And if that's the case, then I might start hacking some of the bottom of that pan out of the way. And then I'm going to relieve some of the edges of this and then try to lay it in, get an idea of how much more I'm going to have to remove. So here's where I'm at now. I managed to pull this bolt as well as the one up here in the front. And since this is on these rubber lines because of the subframe, that allows for a little bit more flexibility. So I just stuck a board up in here. I wanted something that wasn't going to create other sparks. And I'll tell, because I'll know by the smell if I'm burning wood. But I should be okay now because I'm just going to be cutting probably right along here. So I should be plenty far enough away from here. I'm just going to use a small cutoff wheel. So I'll just be piercing through this, so I think I'll be safe and far enough away from those fuel lines. So I think that's the next thing I'm going to end up doing, is starting to cut out at least the lower part of this pan, and then I'll start fitting the other one to figure out how much more I need to cut out of it. Well, here you can see what I managed to cut out. I did it in 2 pieces because I didn't want to take too much at one time, but you can see it was pretty bad. And this area, I decided to take out where the seatbelt attaches because the other one was already in there. I knew there was no structural issues because this was pretty rusty. So I thought, you know what? I have all that. Why not use it? So you can see I still got plenty of meat to work with on this. So I could still remove more if I need to. But I think I'm in pretty good shape with what I have here. I'll show you in the car. Got a nice big hole in it now. It's probably a little too bright. I'll try to move it that way. All right. Get that insulation out of the way. There you go. It lays down in there pretty good, so you can see I got plenty of meat here, so I'll end up doing some cut and butt to get all this fitted down in and nice and flush. I'm not going to just sit it on top and weld it, or that's just crappy kind of work. Also, I noticed there is a couple of pinholes in this, so once this is all in place, I can go ahead and weld those shut. So that's a good start. I think that's where I'm going to stop here then today, but made some progress on this car in a couple of hours after work, so not at all unhappy with that. Again, I'm going to just try and give regular updates on what's going on with the car. It's probably not going to be a project start to finish, so it's just going to be the whole process as it goes along over the next few weeks. There will be some other videos coming along. I've got a number of swap meets coming up in March that I'll be going to, so I'll be posting videos of those. I've been building an engine run stand. I'm almost finished that because I never finished a project, but I want to get that together so I can show you guys that. I got a Will It Run video, an old engine that came out of a barn. So I got a lot of things coming here, but again, I'm going to be working pretty hard on this, and it's just going to be kind of raw video, shoot it up there, and just keep this going on a daily basis then. Again, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment. Give me some encouragement of what to do, how you like what's going on, etc. As always, thanks for watching.